Okay, thank you. And today is exciting for two reasons. One is we are launching the African Public Square, and it's also the day, it's my birthday as well. So.
Oh, happy birthday!
I will be quick. Now, the point is, why are transitions to democracy turning to as transitions to war? I mean, it's, yeah. Everywhere. So, is it the format of the transitions? Are we missing, the issues? Like Funmi said, should we first settle the issues of the state, of governance, before settling on leaders? And the question would be, which one is high leverage or high return route? I think that is the question that we need to ask. I think we are wasting several years by not wasting few hours in asking the right questions. I think that's the whole issue here. Now, in terms of my talk, I think states throughout the world are facing multifaceted crises of legitimacy, sovereignty, and democracy. A crisis that mainly began in internal destabilization processes, but recently overwhelmed by militarized politics at the regional level. Let's see how that plays out in Sudan. My basic argument here is that states are dying in an installment plan, and Sudan is one of these cases. So, what is militification here that I brought about? It is a dominant form of deinstitutionalization because we see it, we see the forces, we see how they control territory, we see how they control the political economy. It's a broader aspect of deinstitutionalization of state-led governance, state-led economy, the economy escaping the state, the foreign policy being rented or subverted by non-state actors. This is basically, the broader aspect of it. But when we come to the global aspect of it, the external aspect of it, I think it's about deregulation. Deregulation everywhere, including deregulation of violence. It's one form of also neoliberal violence So, militification in the case of the Sudan and in any other parts of the Horn of Africa is about, in concrete terms, that auxiliaries of the state, militias as auxiliaries of the state, those who have been instruments of war, of regimes, turn against the regimes and began to control political economy, foreign policy, and monopoly of violence. That is basically the issue. So, how did this happen in Sudan? Taking a point of departure of the dynamics of the civil war, we know what kind of civil war we are talking, and the emergence of new economic networks helps to explain why the RSF has exploited the upheavals and violence that defined the post-2019 Sudan's transition to emerge as an expansionist and often predatory business and political actor in Sudan. The post-2019 transition intensified this shift and deepened the competition among security institutions. So you see here that the competition among the security institutions towards a coercive control of, Sudanese political economy. Okay. And this is happening internally, but also externally. What happened in 2017, since 2017? Probably what I could refer as a geopolitical coup, mainly in the Horn of Africa. One former allies of the US in the Gulf became independent posture, working against Western democracy. That is one. Working against political transitions, working against, state-led economic and collective African institutions. So that was happening. But on the other hand, working in terms of the intensification of organized violence and control of supply chains as it related to supply chain capitalism. And we see it everywhere. It could be through livestock production, more than 2 billion from the Horn of Africa, worse. It could be gold, it could be many resources, but it's also about containerization, because you have to control ports and all the trade routes. And this is impacting in conflicts and in fragmentation of states in the Horn. So, now, the most pressing issue in Sudan, given the context I have provided, is how to end the war and what kind of peace deal would be acceptable to both sides, the antagonists, and whether the Sudanese military will be willing to become one actor among many, and whether such a possibility would generate a different political arrangement. In this respect, less promising signs come from Sudanese protagonists and their external backers. Like most countries in the Middle East and in the sub-region, and unlike the claims of the RSF and its civilian allies, both warring parties in Sudan have no interest in promoting democracy, and they both embrace the violent extractive governance built over the years. So it seems unreasonable that a more competitive politics will emerge, particularly because the battle for Sudan, this is very important, the battle for Sudan is taking place within the coercive apparatus at the center, not in its periphery, and not between it and democracy movements. This is not good news for those calling for political and economic reforms in Sudan, or the oppressed groups in terms of their rights in the peripheries. Quite the contrary, this may constitute a long-term disruption of democratic politics in Sudan and the dissolution of the country with serious consequences. Thank you very much.
All right.